Hello and welcome to AR's Tsukuyomi EX off-tank POV uptime visual guide. I know that's saying a lot, but I promise to make this guide as simple and concise as I can, so let's get into it. The first phase is from 100 to 80%. You can get it to 78 or possibly lower if the DPS is good. She will use a few moves. Reprimand, a raid-wide AoE. Tanks can take turns using Reprisal. An off-tank like Warrior can shake it off. A Paladin can use Veil. Her spell Nightfall is a cast where she will either draw a gun or a spear, with the second cast being whatever she did not use the first time, which makes it easier to prep positions. Telltale signs are if her chat bubble reads, "Beg for mercy." She will then use the gun, in which case the party stacks together behind her. If the chat bubble reads "the end is near," she will use the spear, which cleaves one tank, one healer, and one DPS. The way to handle this is have DPS stacked behind Tsukuyomi, the healer stacked to the left, and the tanks stay in front. If you get hit with the spear more than once, it is fatal, so make sure you're with your proper group. Also, the right side should be free for DPS to continue positions. Her rotation for this phase will be Reprimand, Nightfall, followed with the second Nightfall and the weapon she didn't use on the first try. Reprimand, then she uses Night Bloom, which stuns the party, and then we enter the add phase. There will be 3 sets of adds. The goal here is to defeat the tethered adds, which can't be tanked quickly, and aggro the untethered adds, keeping them away as you defeat them. Otherwise, her suffering gauge will fill. The higher the gauge fills, the more damage she will do when the phase is over, unless you reach 100, in which case she will instantly end the encounter. How we handle this phase is we have the main tank grab the non-tethered adds, keeping them away from her, while the off-tank and DPS focus on the tethered adds first. After they are down, the rest of the party joins the main tank in finishing the non-tethered adds. For the first 2 sets, have a healer support the main tank, holding the non-tethered adds away, while the DPS burn the tethered adds. For the third add, you will be stunned for 10 seconds when it appears, then the burn begins. But this add uses an AoE attack that does a fair bit of damage, so have a healer maintain the group as the rest of the party burns the add as quickly as possible. The next phase begins after Tsukuyomi does an AoE with the damage based off of the suffering gauge. Before she attacks, have either Warrior use Shake It Off, or Paladin use Veil and Passage of Arms, and make sure you're shielded up for the attack. The next phase, Tsukuyomi will start by casting Supreme Selenomancy. It will randomly give you 4 stacks of either the Moonlit debuff or the Moon Shadow debuff. The Moonlit debuff will be represented by a light icon, and the Moon Shadow debuff will be represented by a dark icon. The floor will also change to 2 colors to represent the debuffs. Each debuff will gain a stack every few seconds if you stay on the color, and if it reaches 5, you will be doomed, which is fatal. She will immediately follow up with 2 Lunar Halo. These are AoEs that you can stand in the center of or out of. During the Lunar Halo cast, your goal is to get on the opposite color of your debuff to avoid being doomed. After this, Tsukuyomi will cast Midnight Rain, which will change the ground based on a full moon or a new moon and create a crescent on the ground. Have the main tank pull Tsukuyomi to the crescent line so that the party is able to change debuffs before doom if need be. After Tsukuyomi is by the crescent, she will use Nightfall, so you want to prepare the party according to the weapon she uses. If she uses the gun, have everyone stack behind her immediately. the tank will want to run to the left corner of where she was being tanked on the crescent, the DPS to the corner in front of her and the main tank where she's being tanked, and the healer to the far corner from her back. If she uses a spear, have the main tank and off tank turn her and stack to the left where the off tank will need to run and place the meteor. The DPS can stack behind her and have the marked DPS run to the left crescent corner. The healers will stack on her right with the marked healer running to the far right corner. As you can see in the diagram, this is how my group does the mechanic. As the medial mark players take their positions, please don't forget to watch your debuffs for Doom. We have the off tank make sure his meteor lands on the tip of the crescent where they are positioned in case something goes wrong, so you can have 2 crescent buffs and 1 non-crescent buff. As mark players take their positions, please don't forget to watch your debuffs for Doom. We have the off tank make sure their meteor lands on the tip of the crescent where they are positioned in case something goes wrong. You can have 2 crescent debuffs and 1 non-crescent debuff. As soon as the marks disappear, have the mark tank DPS and healer sprint to the free part of the crescent and make sure to get a stack, otherwise you will not survive the next few mechanics afterwards. After the meteor AoEs go off, the floor will change, so if you do not get to the crescent, you will need a res. Tsukuyomi will cast 2 Lunar Halo. You go into one to dodge or further away. We recommend in for uptime. Then you move away as the meteors will AoE again, this time leaving behind puddles. You want to sprint to the nearest AoE crescent puddle, as you should be approaching the 5th stack on your debuff. You stay in the puddle until Tsukuyomi finishes casting Anti-Twilight or Parallel. Leaving the puddle is Fable. After the attack, have the main tank center her. She will cast Reprimand and then Zashiki Asobi, a move that drops 2 sets of AoE fans covering over half of the arena. As the second set of fans drop, you go towards the last fan in the set, and after the first set goes off, hurry into the safe zone before the second set goes off. These fans give vulnerability debuff, so getting clipped multiple times can be fatal or very detrimental for upcoming mechanics. After you run back to her, she will use Nightfall, so you have to get into position. After the Nightfall gun or spear mechanic, the next one is a tank buster cleave called Torment Unto Death. You will notice the trigger when she says worm in a chat bubble. Have the healer shield with the main tank popping one of their best cooldowns: Warrior's Vengeance and Inner Beast, Dark Knight, Shadow Wall and Blackest Night, Paladin, Sentinel. But if you have vuln stacks from the fans, even with cooldowns, things could get fatal. So if you have stacks, you might want to use Warrior's Home Gang, Paladin Hallowed Ground, or Dark Knight's Living Dead. The off tank is supposed to provoke during the cast and take aggro immediately after, because the hit gives you a vulnerability that will get you 1 or 2 shotted if you still have aggro afterwards. So the main tank should shirk the off tank during the cast of Torment Unto Death as well. After the swap, she will repeat the mechanics from this phase until you get her to 35%. The main tank can take back aggro after the Torment Unto Death debuff wears off, allowing the off tank to do the crescent and meteor mechanics. The rotation of this phase is Supreme Selenomancy, Lunar Halo, Nightfall, Meteor AoEs, followed by Lunar Halo, then the Meteor AoEs again, then Anti-Twilight or Perlin, then Reprimand, Zashiki Asobi the fans, followed by Nightfall, then Torment Unto Death. From 35% to 0 is the final phase. Tsukuyomi will start by spawning 2 swords, and using Dance of the Dead, a raid-wide AoE, so make sure everyone is healed up and properly shielded. She will begin with a chat bubble conversation starting with "No, not yet." After her dance, she will cast either Full Moon or New Moon, followed up with either Bright Blade or Dark Blade. If Tsukuyomi uses Full Moon after Bright Blade or Dark Blade, she will do a circular AoE around herself called Waxing Moon Grudge, so you want to run away. If she uses New Moon after Bright or Dark Blade, she will do a rune-wide AoE called Waning Grudge, with the safe space being the circle around her or her hitbox. A sign to tell which AoE Tsukuyomi will use is to check the color of her hair. If it's full light, she will use Waxing Grudge, so get away after the blade. If her hair is completely dark, she will use Waning Grudge, so get close after the blade. Getting hit with any blade attack or AoE will give you vuln stacks and damage down. Because she does this in succession, the trick with Bright and Dark Blade is to figure out which side she's attacking on. So if she uses Bright Blade, she will attack in an arc on her left side. If she uses Dark Blade, she will attack in an arc on her right side. This diagram shows you how to deal with mechanics. Tsukuyomi will do 3 Moon and Blade combos. After the combos, she will cast Reprimand. Then she will use a move called Lunacy, which places a stack marker on a party member, and it hits them 4 times, requiring the party to stack. If you are familiar with Akmorn, it functions the same way. She will also cast Full Moon or New Moon as she uses her second skill, Tsuki no Kakera, which is a 2-part dancing fan AoE. The entire party, including the marked members, should stack together at the last placed fan. As soon as the first set of fans disappear, quickly move out of the second set of fans, but stay together because the Lunacy attack will go off, and you stay together until it finishes. Tsukuyomi will follow this up with a Bright or Dark Blade combo. So make sure you remember whether she was in Full Moon or New Moon and positioned correctly. Her next attack will then be the Tank Buster, Torment Unto Death. So of course have the off tank provoke during the cast and use a cooldown. And again, if you have vuln stacks, use either Home Gang, Hollow Ground, or Living Dead. Tsukuyomi will cast another Moon with another fan attack, only this time her spell Hagetsu will place a red marker on the off tank, 1 DPS, and 1 healer. This will be splash damage, so it is not meant to be shared. So you have the unmarked party members stand in the last fan set and have the marked members stand in previous gaps of the second set of fans to avoid sharing damage. And again, as soon as the first set goes off, everyone runs out. The marker damage will have went off, so the marked members can rejoin the party. Tsukuyomi will then use the Moonblade combo and Reprimand 2 times, followed by a Lunacy marker and another fan. She will repeat the rotation until you win or Lunacy grows powerful enough to wipe the group as it gets stronger with each cast. Her rotation for the final phase is Dance of the Dead. New or Full Moon, Bright or Dark Blade. New or Full Moon, Bright or Dark Blade. Reprimand, New or Full Moon, Lunacy with Tsuki no Kakera, Bright or Dark Blade. Torment Unto Death, New or Full Moon, Hagetsu and Zashiki Asobi, Bright or Dark Blade with Reprimand, Lunacy, and Tsuki no Kakera. I hope you understood and enjoyed my strategy guide for Tsukuyomi EX. If you have any questions or comments, please please leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoy the video and enjoy the content that AR is trying to produce, like, favorite, and subscribe. And with that said, I cleared this fight at item level 350 as a off tank and main tank, so you shouldn't have too many problems. So to all my warriors of light out there, I hope this helps, and good luck.